Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you one of the most heart-touching stories you'll hear this year, a story about compassion, timing, destiny, and how a single act of kindness during a freezing winter night changed a young woman's entire life forever. So sit back, relax, and let me take you on this emotional journey that reminds us all that doing good truly comes back around in ways we can never imagine. It all started on one of the harshest winter nights. In the small mountain town of Ridgepoint, the snowfall was relentless, thick layers of white covering the roads, the sidewalks, even the windows of shops and homes. The wind howled between houses as if nature itself was trying to warn everyone to stay inside. But life doesn't stop for weather, and neither did Clara, a 26-year-old waitress working the late shift at a nearly empty diner on the edge of the highway. Clara wasn't supposed to be working that night. The shift was actually her coworker's responsibility, but the coworker had begged her to switch because she wanted to go to a concert. So Clara, being the kind-hearted person she was, agreed, even though money was tight and she had just recovered from a flu that kept her bedridden for a week. She needed the income anyway, so she bundled up, braced herself, and walked through the snow to the diner. Inside the diner, the warmth greeted her immediately, and so did the silence, except for the crackling heater and the occasional whistle of the wind outside. Clara began her shift, as usual, refilling coffee pots, wiping tables, turning on the small radio behind the counter. The soft hum of old jazz filled the lonely space, and Clara tried to stay positive, despite knowing she'd probably finished the entire shift with barely any Passed slowly, snow falling harder outside. It was close to midnight when Clara noticed something strange through the frosted glass of the diner's front door, a blurry shape struggling against the wind. At first, Clara thought it was just a shadow, or maybe a stray animal, but as the figure got closer, she realized it was a person, an elderly woman hunched over, clutching a thin coat around her shoulders and stumbling as if each step might be her last. Without thinking twice, Clara rushed to the door, icy air blasting into the diner. The moment she opened it, the old woman looked up, her face, pale lips, trembling eyes filled with exhaustion. "Dear, help," she whispered before her knees buckled. Clara caught her just in time and guided her inside the warmth of the diner. The old woman looked fragile, like she could shatter with a single touch. Clara helped her sit in a booth closest to the heater, grabbed a blanket from the supply shelf, and wrapped it gently around her trembling body. Then, she made a cup of hot tea, added extra honey, and brought it to her. The old woman's hands shook as she tried to lift the cup, so Clara held it for her, helping her take slow sips. "Thank you, sweetheart," the old woman said, her voice weak but sincere. "I didn't think I'd make it much longer out there." Clara smiled softly. "You're safe now. Don't worry, just warm up. Take your time. Do you need me to call someone, a family member, anyone?" The woman hesitated, her eyes drifting down to her frail hands as though ashamed. "No, there's no one to call." Clara felt a sting in her chest. She didn't know this woman, but loneliness was something she understood all too well. She had lost her parents young and spent most of her adult life working multiple jobs to survive. No close family, no partner, just life moving forward, whether she was ready or not. So she sat with the old woman, letting her talk if she wanted silence, if she preferred peace. After a while, the old woman began to speak in soft, broken sentences. She said her name was Margaret, and she lived alone in a small cabin about a mile away. Her heater had stopped working earlier that evening, and when the cold became unbearable, she tried walking to her neighbor's house for help, but the storm grew stronger and she lost her way. Thinking she might freeze out there, she pushed on until she saw the neon lights of the diner glowing through the snow. Clara listened compassionately, feeling a swell of admiration inside her. Despite her age and the brutal weather, Margaret had fought her way through the storm. She must have been terrified, but she kept going, seeking even the faintest hope of warmth. Clara decided to stay with her until the storm calmed and insisted she rest. The diner wasn't busy after all, and Clara didn't mind keeping her company. Time passed and Margaret's color slowly returned. Her hands steadied, her voice grew stronger. By around 2 a.m., she had regained enough strength to walk home, but Clara refused to let her go alone in that weather, so she clocked out early, wrapped herself in her coat, and walked with the old woman to make sure she arrived safely. The journey was slow, snow reaching almost to their knees, but Clara supported Margaret the entire way, their breaths forming clouds in the icy air, the moon barely visible behind thick clouds. By the time they reached the cabin, Margaret could hardly speak. She was overwhelmed with gratitude. "You're an angel, dear, truly," Margaret whispered at her doorstep. "People pass me every day as if I am invisible, but you stopped for me. You gave me warmth, kindness. If only there were more like you in the world." Clara shook her head, embarrassed. "I just did what anyone should do. Are you sure you'll be okay now?" Margaret nodded and hugged her with surprising strength. Clara walked back to the diner feeling tired but strangely fulfilled. She had no idea that her simple act of kindness was about to change her life forever. Next morning, Clara returned to work for her regular shift. The storm had calmed, leaving the town coated in a thick white blanket. Cars moved slowly, streets glistened, sunlight bouncing off the snow inside the diner. Things looked normal again. Customers trickled in ordering coffee and breakfast, but around noon, the diner door swung open, and in walked a man Clara had never seen before, middle-aged, tall, wearing an expensive coat, the kind only wealthy people bothered to buy, and carrying an aura of confidence that filled the room. Immediately's gaze scanned the diner until it landed directly on Clara. He walked straight toward her, his expression unreadable. "You're Clara, right?" Clara blinked, confused. Yes. Can I help you, sir?" The man exhaled deeply as if steadying himself. "My name is Andrew Winters." The name sounded familiar, but Clara couldn't place it. The man continued before she could speak. "I'm here because of my mother." Clara's eyes widened. "Your mother, Margaret Winters," he said. Clara froze her hand, gripping the coffee pot a little tighter. She had spent hours with the old woman, but she didn't once mention family, especially not a son, let alone someone who looked wealthy enough to own half the town. "I don't understand," Clara said quietly. "She told me she didn't have anyone to call." Andrew's face softened. "Yes, she would say that she's proud, stubborn, and she hates worrying me. I live 2 states away, running a company. I visit whenever I can, but she doesn't like anyone fussing over her." He took a slow breath. His eyes filled with emotion. "Last night she called me early in the morning. She told me everything about the storm, about nearly freezing to death, about a young woman who saved her and walked her home. She said you were the only reason she's still alive today." Clara felt her chest tighten a moment, replaying in her mind. She had no idea Margaret had managed to call anyone. Andrew continued. When she spoke, her voice was shaking. She said, "If I wanted to know what a real angel looked like, I should come find you," she insisted. Clara felt her cheeks warm. "I just helped her. She really needed someone." Andrew shook his head. "You didn't just help her. You saved her. My mother could have died out there, and she knows it." "I know. That storm was deadly. Multiple rescue teams were called that night. You were the only reason she made it home." The diner had grown quiet, other customers listening subtly but pretending not to. Andrew reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope, setting it gently on the counter, but Clara pushed it back immediately. "Sir, I'm sorry. I can't accept money for helping someone. That's not why I did it." Andrew smiled slightly as if expecting her response. "I know, and that's exactly why you deserve far more than this." Clara was confused. He put the envelope away and then said something that made her heart skip. "I'm not here to give you money. I'm here to offer you a job." Clara stared at him, stunned. "A job?" Andrew nodded. "I own a chain of hospitality businesses, hotels, restaurants. We're expanding, and I need someone with compassion, integrity, and genuine heart to lead one of our community outreach divisions. It focuses on helping elderly residents, supporting shelters, and training staff to treat every customer like a human, not a transaction." My mother said you were the kindest person she'd met in years, and she wanted to make sure your kindness didn't go unnoticed. Clara's eyes filled with disbelief. "But I'm just a waitress, sir. I don't think I'm qualified for something like that." Andrew chuckled. "My mother said you'd respond exactly like this, and she told me to tell you that being qualified isn't always about degrees and titles. Sometimes it's about character. The rest we can train you for." Clara didn't know what to say. Her life had been a cycle of survival. Low-pay jobs, long hours, constant financial stress. The idea of someone offering her a real opportunity felt unreal, almost like a trick. "I don't understand why you're doing this for me." Andrew looked at her with sincere gratitude. "Because someone should have done something like this for you a long time ago, because the world needs people like you in positions where you can make a difference, because my mother asked me to come find you. And when she asks something, it's because she sees the truth in people. And finally, because you saved the most important person in my life without expecting anything in return. That's the kind of person I want on my team." Clara felt a swirl of emotions inside: gratitude, shock, fear, hope, everything all at once. She didn't respond immediately, so Andrew continued gently, "I'm not asking you to decide right now. Take time, think about it. I'll be in town for a few days. We can talk more whenever you're ready." He handed her a business card and left the diner, leaving Clara standing behind the counter, heart pounding. Overwhelmed by the sudden turn her life had taken, the rest of her shift felt like a blur. Every time she tried to focus on a task, her mind wandered back to that offer, to Margaret's fragile smile, to the snowstorm, to everything that had led to this moment. That night, Clara walked home deep in thought, the streets quieter now. Snow settled in soft layers under streetlights, her breath visible in the cold air. She wondered what her parents would have said if they were alive, what they would think of this opportunity. She wondered if she deserved it, if she should take it, if she could truly change her life. Next morning, Clara visited Margaret. She brought warm muffins and knocked on her cabin door. The old woman opened it with a bright smile and hugged her immediately, as if she had known Clara her whole life. "Dear child, I knew you would come." Clara laughed nervously. "Your son came to see me at the diner." "Of course he did," Margaret replied proudly. "I told him everything he needed to know." Clara hesitated before speaking. "I don't know if I can accept that job. I've never done anything like that. I'm just—" Margaret placed a gentle finger on her lips. "You're not just anything. You are kind. You are brave, and you saved me without hesitation. That tells me everything I need to know. Titles don't make a person worthy, actions do." Clara felt her throat tighten. Margaret continued softly, all your life, people have overlooked you, but I see. You child, you deserve a chance to step into something better, something that matches your heart. Take the job, don't let fear steal your blessing. Those words settled deeply in Clara's chest, and when she left the cabin, she knew her answer that afternoon. Clara met with Andrew. Again at the diner, she sat across from him, nervous but ready. I'll do it, she said. I'll take the job. Andrew's face lit up in relief. Good, you won't regret it, I promise. And just like that, Clara's life changed. Within a week, she moved into a small apartment provided by the company, underwent training, and began working under Andrew's team. She learned fast, her compassion naturally guiding her leadership. She formed programs for elderly care, volunteer groups, emergency shelters, and customer support systems that treated every person not as an inconvenience but as a human being. Within months, she was recognized across the company as one of the most impactful members of the team. Her salary improved, her confidence blossomed, and more importantly, she found purpose, a sense of belonging she had never felt before. She visited Margaret, often bringing her food, talking for hours, laughing. Together they grew close, like familiar. Every time Clara looked back on that stormy night, she realized something: life doesn't always reward people immediately. Sometimes it waits until the right moment. And when it finally does, the reward is far greater than anything we expect. Tony, act of kindness. One cold night, one old woman, nearly lost in the snow, it became the reason Clara stepped into a life she had never dared to imagine, and the reason a millionaire walked into a diner, not to give money, but to give someone the future she deserved. That's the story of how kindness not only saves others, but sometimes saves us too.